I just wanted to answer a comment about using the rear brake on slow control. A lot of people think that you've got to use the clutch, the throttle and the rear brake when you're doing slow control to control the speed of the bike. And in fact, you don't. And one of the problems is if you are a learner rider and you haven't got the full control of the throttle, the clutch and the rear brake, then you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble. So the thing to think about is the throttle actually stops the engine from stalling. So when you put on a little bit of revs, it just raises the engine revs a little bit and then it stops the engine from stalling while you're using the clutch. If you think about the clutch as the thing that controls the speed of the bike, so when you're on clutch bite, you can release the clutch a little bit so it's forward to go or pull it in to slow. And what that will do is that will control the speed of the bike. So the throttle's keeping the engine running and the control of the clutch is being used to control the speed of the bike. At that point, you can use the rear brake if you were going too fast. So the idea is if you're going a little bit too fast, just apply a small amount of rear brake. Or if you are traveling a little bit too quick, then clutch comes in first, then use the rear brake, slow the speed down, release the rear brake, and then you can go back to using the clutch. One of the problems with using the clutch, the throttle and the rear brake when you haven't got a lot of skills is the fact that when you do use them together, you could be dragging the rear brake too much and then you're having to use excessive revs and then you're having to slip the clutch, and that would cause a little bit more problems to the clutch. Probably won't burn it out, but it'll wear it out a little bit more. One of the biggest problems with that is if you get used to doing that method of control and you've got it wrong, you'll be dragging the rear brake and then you'll put more revs in to stop the engine stalling, then you'll be using more clutch and the bike will be trying to go a lot quicker. And if by any chance you did release the rear brake accidentally, then you've got excessive engine revs, a lot of clutch travel to increase the drive to the back wheel, and then the bike would shoot off. And I have heard one or two kind of real problems, especially on test, where people are trained to ride the back brake, drag the back brake while they're using excessive revs and clutch. And in one or two cases, we've heard people have actually come to a few problems and come off the bike by over revving when they've released the clutch. Release the rear brake, and then as the clutch has been released, the bike just shoots off and they lose control. So my advice is to get used to using the throttle control, clutch control on its own first, and then go on to using the rear brake just to control the speed if you are going a little bit too fast. If you've got any questions, any problems, just give me a shout. I'll be more than happy to answer any more questions. Cheers, ride safe and keep it on the black stuff.